What's going on, everyone? So, one of the, or if not the biggest factor in us winning an NBA championship is going to be the Lakers' small ball. They just don't have the interior size. They don't have the centers. Jackson Hayes, once he plays more than like 15 minutes, you start to see more and more of the liabilities and issues and concerns. And Lakers kind of, death lineup as dating back to the Warriors and their small ball, right? Lakers are going to be very reliant on that. Couple things though. Lakers' small ball is huge. Like Lakers are one of, if not the biggest teams in the league compared to the type of size that they have overall outside of like the interior size. Right? Usually when you think of small ball lineups, it's like, two guards, one's like 6'3", the other one's like 6'5". Then you have like two, six, a 6'6" guy, 6'7", and then like a 6'8", 6'9" guy, right? Like it's a bunch of like smaller guys, right, that are spreading the floor, spreading wide, doing all that stuff. Well, the Lakers have the luxury of, yes, they have five guys that can spread the floor, shoot the shots, but all of them are big. They all have like 7-foot wingspans. They're all, 6'7" and above outside of like Reeves, who's like 6'5". You're talking like Luka, who's 6'7", 6'8", right? You got, Reeves, who's 6'5". You got, Jared or Dorian Finney-Smith or, Rui Hachimura. You got several options in that regard for the three. They're all, 6'8", 6'9". Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, Dorian Finney-Smith for the five. Got all those options, right? Like the four, same thing. You have so much size, versatility, floor stretching, shooting, all of these things that are very... That it's what it's going to come down to. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to the other guys hitting shots, right? Dorian Finney-Smith continuing to shoot the three ball well. Rui Hachimura not disappearing in the playoffs like he did last year. The previous season, 2023, he was lights out. Then the following season, he really struggled mightily, right? In that Denver matchup, struggled mightily. Then you go, and this season, what is he going to look like? He's been shooting the ball excellent. He's been great. And especially, he might be the biggest factor for this team just because of who's going to defend him most likely on a nightly basis. He's probably going to get guys like Mike Conley, and Nah and all these guys, right? Like, those are the kind of guys that are probably going to be defending Rui. So Rui has to take advantages, make sure he's being in attack mode, make sure he's being aggressive and knocking down shots. Minnesota has big interior size, but Rudy Gobert's biggest kryptonite, and you've seen it dating back to the Utah days, is small ball, right? Put somebody on the floor at the five that can stretch him out and put him in, on an island one-on-one and just go at him. Get him in space. He doesn't move well in space. And now make him have to make a play on the defensive side. And he can't do it, right? Like, that's where the key, if Dorian Finney-Smith, Rui Hachimura, if these guys are hitting shots, they're going to worry about Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves regardless. LeBron could go 0 of 9 from 3. They're still going to challenge him and try to slow him down, right? Same thing with Luka, same thing with Reeves. But they'll live with Rui if he starts a game 0 of 4 from three-point range, because they're going to look at it as like he's not going to get another 10 threes, right? He's not going to get another 11 threes. So even if he makes his next two, we can live with that, right? Let him get the 6 points or whatever, right? Like, they're going to have to pick their poison, and every team's going to have to do that. It's not just a Minnesota exclusive, right? It's not something where, just Minnesota's going to. No, all these teams are going to have to do that, because again, that's how we're going to beat most, if not all of these teams. Houston, Memphis or the Warriors, whichever team we play, again, you're probably running very heavy sets of your 5 out, your death lineup, because that is how you're going to, that's the best version of this team. That guys hit threes or shooting more threes than we ever did. Us and Boston are the two teams that have legit 5 guys that can stretch the floor, right? Luka, Reeves, and LeBron all can, knock down the three ball at an efficient clip, right? Dorian Finney-Smith, is a 38 to 40% three-ball shooter. They can knock it down efficient, and he's been shooting extremely well these last 15 games or so. And then Rui Hachimura is shooting 43% from three-point range on the top of my head, right? Gabe Vincent is also a guy that is known to elevate come playoff time, right? Doe is another guy that is known to elevate come playoff time, right? You have multiple guys. Dalton Connect, you can always put in a pinch. If, hey, we need to kind of get a spark. Maybe Dalton Connect can knock down a 3 or 2 and just kind of kind of when it rains, it pours type thing. You see it all the time, right? Like team can't buy a bucket and then somebody comes in and just hits that first three and it just like changes everything, right? You can have guys like Dalton Connect that can maybe be that, a Shake Milton, right? Like you have options there of guys that can maybe in a pinch, in a moment, move in, knock down the three ball. Obviously guys like Jared Vanderbilt and, Jackson Hayes, you're not really looking for them, but it's really going to come down to how well we shoot the basketball. Because if we're able to spread a team out like Minnesota or any of these teams, spread them out wide, and then knock down the three ball with the level of consistency, then that just opens the floor to now let Austin Reeves, Luka, and LeBron do their thing, get to their spots, kind of create that dribble penetration. When you do have Jackson Hayes in, now he becomes the lob threat because they're worried about LeBron, Austin Reeves, and Doe, or LeBron, Austin Reeves, and Rui. But if guys are just not hitting shots and shooting poorly and, just having their struggles, then it just, again, I'm not saying that doesn't mean that the Lakers can't win, right? But it just makes things, especially a team like Minnesota, makes things so much easier because now they can keep Rudy Gobert on the court. Now they can have him pack the paint and just kind of make sure that LeBron doesn't just get a free pass to the rim every possession, right? Now they can kind of, trap and contain Luka, Reeves, and LeBron. But kind of hard to do that if Rui is 3 for 3 from 3 and Doe is, 2 or 3 from 3. And it's like, man, like, and they're gonna have to pick their poison. And we've seen teams try to like, okay, let's make other guys beat them. And, we had the game where LeBron, Luka, and Reeves all were terrible offensively. And they were like, let's make somebody else beat us. And Gabe Vincent and Dorian Finney-Smith dropped 20 each. And we won. All right, like this team is still capable of winning a game here and there like that. And when you do that, again, teams have to now pick their poison. Okay, are we going to let him do that? Are we going to let, them do it? Okay, well, and then all of a sudden you look up and it's like, oh, Rui's got 25, Dorian Finney-Smith's got 18, right? Like, Gabe Vincent came off the bench with 12. And you start looking up, add it up, it's like, oh man, like we had 3 guys off the bench combined, or 3 of our role guys combined for 60 points. You're like, you're winning those games. Right, where if it's something where, LeBron, Luka, and Reeves are essentially doing everything, have to do everything, have to hit every shot, have to generate everything, they get you a good look and you're just not hitting shots, right? Like that's where problems can start to present itself. That's where issues start to rear its head a little bit. And it just makes the Lakers easier to defend. Lakers are going to be a problem to defend regardless. Luka's incredibly crafty. The playoffs are tailor-made for Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, right? Their style of play and the way that they like to approach in the half court play, and just kind of shred defenses, it's what the NBA is. Game slows down, becomes more physical, becomes more intense, more of a half court game. It's not just like running on, 7 seconds or less offense. You just can't get away with that stuff. Everything gets really tight. Everything kind of, teams make it more of an effort to protect the paint and close out hard on shooters. Right? Well, now Austin Reeves and Luka, they live in the mid-range. Rui Hachimura lives in the mid-range. Right? Like we have multiple guys on this team that luckily the playoffs are tailor-made for their style of play. Right? But again, it defaults to guys have to hit shots. Right? Because teams, again, if Rui's 0 of 5 from the floor, they're just going to keep letting him shoot. Which means now that body is in the paint, slowing down, trapping Luka or trapping LeBron or trapping whatever. And now you look up and he's 0-6, 0-6. It's just, or he's like, he finished the game 1-9. It hurts, right? Now it becomes that much more difficult for a team like the Lakers. But, regardless, their small ball it's their ace in the hole, right? Team like the Warriors, right? Like they're small ball. Their small ball is the ace in the hole, right? They have, Steph Curry's their shooting's ridiculous, but they're a team that can stretch 5, right? Or 4, right? Because they're like Draymond and, guys. So they have like historically great 3-point shooters. But still, like Lakers, like Boston is a team that all 5 guys can stretch the floor and shoot wide, right? The Lakers are a team where all 5 guys can stretch the floor and shoot wide. Right? There's very few teams that can do that. And Lakers are one of the few that can maintain size. Even compared to Boston, they have the size. Right? Like, it's good because the Lakers just, that's another advantage that they have. Obviously, their ability to be a matchup nightmare for you, but on top of being a matchup nightmare for you, you also have just the size to kind of match up against most of their guys. So it just kind of gives you that better balance for a team like the Lakers. So I really like the position we're in. I'm comfortable. I really do believe. Would I like a bigger physical? Would I like a real center? Of course, right? Even if you were to go small ball a good majority, it'd be nice to have that guy that you can deploy at any point. If we would have stuck with a Mark Williams, right? Like, you have a guy that you can now deploy. Right, you have a guy that you can go out there, or if we would have traded for another guy, whoever, right? Like you would have had that guy that you could have deployed. You don't have that now, so it hurts. So you have no choice but to lean fully into that small ball. Jackson Hayes is still probably going to get like his 15 or whatever, but it's just again, you've seen the more he's on the court, and especially him against Rudy Gobert, you don't want that matchup. But anyway. As always, this is a discussion, past question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Kind of mixed in the middle? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Either way, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. If you enjoy these types of videos, truly appreciate it. Non-subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.